This landlord threw a pregnant woman out of his house in the middle of the rain. But what happened later that night made him beg for forgiveness. Nobody in the compound believed that what was heard was coming out from the landlord's and landlady's room that same night. But before we get to that shocking moment, let me show you what really happened. In a small dusty compound on the edge of town, 4 tiny rooms surrounded a quiet courtyard. The compound belonged to a man everyone feared, a landlord named Baba Shegun, and also his wicked wife, Mama Shegun. To them, tenants were nothing but money, and everyone in the compound knew one thing: never make the landlord angry. One afternoon, a pregnant woman named Shade arrived at the compound. She spoke politely and begged for a small room to rent at Baba Shegun's house. Tenants had to pay every 3 months. Shade paid for her 3 months, and Mama Shegun reluctantly handed a key to her. Shade moved into the tiny room with only a mattress and a cooking pot. That night, she was worried about the house, but instead, she kept everything to God in prayer. The next morning, Shade swept the compound and greeted all the tenants kindly. They all responded to her in a kind manner. Sometimes she smiled as she felt the baby kick inside of her. Shade's husband worked in a faraway city and promised to send money whenever she has the opportunity to hear from her. She's so filled with joy. For a while, everything seemed peaceful. But one day, Shade's husband broke a bad news to her. He had lost his job. Shade knew baby would be arriving anytime soon. So she gathered the little coin with her and headed to the market to get few clothing for her unborn baby. About 2 weeks after, her 3 months rent was due and she needed to pay another money. And soon, the landlady began asking for rent. Shade begged for just 2 weeks to find the money. Instead, Mama Shegun refused with anger. She called her husband and they threw out all of Shade's belongings in their house. Both the mattresses, her pots, and just a few bags that she has. The shouting attracted everyone in the compound and those passing by. Shade was seen pleading to Mama Sheko, as people passing by were also trying to plead on her behalf, because they do not know who Mama Shegun and Baba Shegun were. But tenants watched in silence. They were too afraid to help. As evening fell, dark clouds gathered over the compound. Shade sat outside, crying and holding her stomach. Soon after, the rain began to fall heavily. Inside their house, the landlord and his wife had gone to their separate rooms. But what happened next, nobody in the compound could explain. But Mama Shade was feeling restless about what she did earlier. But because she's used to that attitude, she immediately threw it away. In the middle of the night, Mama Shegun suddenly woke up. She heard something that made her heart race. Also in Baba Shegun's room, he woke up suddenly because he heard the same thing his wife heard. The sound was a cry of a baby. Baba Shegun opened the door to check the compound. But outside, there was no baby. The cry sound became louder, and it was as if it was coming from the directions of Baba Shade's room and Mama Shade's room. The window slammed violently as the wind grew stronger. In the compound, Shade was still there, inside the rain. Slowly, Mama Shegun walked towards the bedroom. She then saw something strange in her room. Mama Shade screamed in terror as a strange glowing light filled the room. The baby cry echoed louder than before. It sounded like a mysterious voice spoke. The baby crying said, "Why did you send my mother away?" Baba Shade, Baba Shegun and Mama Shegun were surprised and shocked. As the couple ran outside into the storm, they rushed towards where Shade was kneeling. They started apologizing, begging Shade that they are so sorry for what they had done earlier that day. Immediately, Mama Shegun knelt down. Baba Shegun also knelt down and immediately went to grab the mattress which he had thrown away earlier to return it back into the house. On seeing this, the tenants were shocked. They were surprised because they know who Baba Shegun and Mama Shegun were. They do not apologize. Shade was escorted into her room that night to sleep. The next morning, all of the tenants were seen happy and joyful in the compound. Mama Shegun sat on her bed and felt ashamed of her attitude and action towards Shade. She said to herself, I was supposed to even look at her condition, not focus on my money alone. She felt sad that night and planned to turn a new leaf. Moral lessons from the story. Never be wicked to someone who is helpless, because kindness brings peace, while wickedness always brings consequences. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. See you in the next one. Bye.